Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a really unique team that hit legend in the Open Great League. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, 301nav, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now this trainer is using a Pokemon I haven't seen in the Open Great League in ages, and that is Magcargo. Magcargo does have access to Rock Tomb, which obviously this season got a massive buff. So they put Magcargo on the lead, Shadow Annihilate as the save switch to check for any flyers, and Superior as the closer. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at this team in action. Hopping into the first match, leading Magcargo into Morpeko. Morpeko, a Pokemon known for boosting up its attack thanks to Aura Wheel, but Magcargo with Rock Tomb will be able to lower its attack right back down to 0. So Aura Wheel is going to be shielded up as that would inflict massive damage. Magcargo, 1 Incinerate and the Rock Tomb, and this will put the Magcargo right back at neutral. So Rock Tomb is going to land, aggressive switch into Annihilate. Annihilate almost able to get the counter snipe. Opponent is going to fire off a Psychic Fangs. They don't Aura Wheel, and that actually knocks out. In comes a Shadow Jumpluff. Jumpluff is going to be hit with double super effective damage here on the Ice Punch unless they shield, which they do, but the Jumpluff is going to get a massive farm down. Things could get a little bit tricky as of course the Jumpluff is not switch locked. In comes Magcargo. The Jumpluff is staying to throw energy. If they're staying to throw energy, that means they don't have a good response to the Magcargo. Acrobatics does do quite a lot of damage. Magcargo throwing 1 Incinerate in the move. Jumpluff is able to make it to an Aerial Ace, and that is going to pressure a shield. And now we know they have a Lapras in the back, so they are very, very weak to Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to connect. Magcargo banks a move for later and sends in Superior. Having that move banked should guarantee the win here for Nav in game number 1. This is actually a Skull Bash Lapras, interestingly enough. So not the Ice Beam variant we're more often used to seeing. Aerial Ace is going to pick up the KO. Back in comes the Shadow Jumpluff. Superior gets the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace, this isn't really needed damage because, as we know, there is an entire move loaded on the Magcargo. So now Jumpluff gets to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace. But the stored energy on Magcargo has meant this game's been over for quite a while. Rock Tomb, massive overkill onto that Shadow Jumpluff, and that's going to be a Game 1 win. Magcargo sees a tough lead in the next match as it's going to be staring down Medicham. Quick save switch to Shadow Annihilate. Medicham are now running Psycho Cut, Ice Punch, and Dynamic Punch if it's being run. This is going to be an Ice Punch on 5. It is alternating 5-4 cycles, but Ice Punch, not a move that particularly threatens the Shadow Annihilate, so it can survive 1, fire off the Rage Fist, and that Rage Fist does a lot of damage. Annihilate can now shield, counter down the Medicham, and win alignment, which is very, very helpful. Opponent is going to send in a Furret into a boosted Annihilate. What is in the back that this was their best option? Furret is going to get the farm down, but loses all of its HP. It could make a Trailblaze versus Magcargo, and that's really nice awareness by Nav. Understanding they would throw 1 in the Trailblaze into Magcargo, so just bring in Superior and snipe them down before they can get a move. In comes Medicham, trying to get the Ice Punch onto Superior, but there's the catch onto Magcargo, where that's heavily resisted. In the back is Carbink. Carbink is about to be permanently debuffed and stuck against a Superior in this endgame. There's just nowhere for the opponent to run. Rock Tomb is going to land. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Let's move to the next match. Magcargo staring down a Tinkaton. Bulldoze is double super effective, but it's also a really bad move. Opponent throws a Fairy Wind, save switches to the Shadow Dusclops. Dusclops, oh no, they throw on alignment. They try and CMP tie a Rock Tomb, but you can't try to play to CMP against an Incinerate user. Magcargo gets 20 free energy because of the opponent's mistake, and now Magcargo is just in such a nice position, very comfortable surviving a debuff Shadow Punch, and exits with so much loaded energy. The opponent can't really afford to bring back in the Tinkaton, so now they're going to send in a Lapras, and we're going to see an immediate pivot into the Shadow Annihilate. Shadow Annihilate being able to bait back out the Tinkaton here is key. The Rage Fist will do quite a lot of damage, and the Annihilate, I mean, these counters are doing so much damage to the Tinkaton. Tinkaton will have to full send here, and they go for the Play Rough. In comes Magcargo. Magcargo, unfortunately, not quite able to get the Incinerate down before the Bulldoze does come through from the Tinkaton. But now this poor Lapras is about to get double debuffed. Lapras is going to hit the field, and they're just going to get completely overrun here by debuffs. There is Rock Tomb number 1, immediately followed by Rock Tomb number 2, And then Magcargo, oh my goodness, it's staying in here. It's going to force the Lapras to throw energy. And this poor Shadow Lapras, normally Shadow Lapras deals a ton of damage, but it's at -2. So in comes Superior, and this Ice Beam is just going to come nowhere close to knocking out opponent. They realize they're not going to win. They don't even bother throwing it. And my goodness, those Rock Tomb debuffs were so oppressive. Magcargo staring down a tough lead in the next match as it's met with a Shadow Drapion. Drapion just has such a huge pacing advantage here, where Drapion is already one off of double Aqua Tail. So the Magcargo almost has to undertap here, because if they don't, then they're getting outpaced. So that's exactly what Nav is going to do. Undertapping the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded, and there's a simultaneous switch out, Shadow Annihilate against Shadow Feraligatr. But if Feraligatr is able to outpace, Annihilate in trouble, just going to let this go and say, you know what, I did the damage that I can do. If I shield, Feraligatr is just going to outpace anyway. So now in comes Superior. Superior is going to go for a 1 shield farm down on that Feraligatr. Superior's energy will hit hard even against the Drapion, and that's exactly what the opponent is going to bring back onto the field. So Drapion is going to be met with a Frenzy Plant, getting the Drapion low, a switch, and a catch of a potential crunch onto Magcargo. You have to hope the opponent didn't go for the Aqua Tail, and they didn't. They did go for the crunch. In comes Lapras, and due to the 2 cycle for Rock Tomb, Magcargo is actually able to outpace. Magcargo's Rock Tomb is going to land. That is big damage, and the opponent is going to fully Psywave down. They're very, very low here. In comes Superior. This is debuff damage from the Lapras. It's going to be a Skull Bash. Skull Bash will not knock out. Superior has so much loaded energy, and I believe Superior does actually have this game won. Aerial Ace is going to be shielded. There's Aerial Ace number 2. And against all odds, the opponent was running Drapion Double Water, and the Magcargo team was able to find a way to win. We move to the next match, Magcargo staring down Malamar from its Axon. Malamar obviously going to be able to outpace in this matchup and fire off a potential superpower. Magcargo is going to be respecting the damage here. It is the superpower, going for the Rock Tomb, but there's a switch out by the opponent and a catch of the Rock Tomb onto Diggersby. But bad news for Diggersby, as this is Shadow Annihilate's time to shine. Shadow Annihilate, these counters are shredding through the Diggersby, and Annihilate can probably honestly farm down here, because they did just make it to the Scorching Sands. Annihilate decides to fire off energy. I think that Annihilate could have got the farm down there, but just going to guarantee a knockout. And now the opponent is going to bring back in the Malamar. Malamar farming up Annihilate. Oh, did they play to a CMP tie there? And Annihilate is going to win that CMP tie. So I wonder if Axon did get 1 turn and bring in there, and that's why he did end up trying to throw 1 before, and it ended up being a CMP tie. In comes Magcargo. Opponent tries to CMP tie the Rock Tomb, and it all goes wrong. The superpower is going to be shielded. In the back is Credilli, and Magcargo is looking deadly. Magcargo firing off the Rock Tomb. That's going to connect. Rock Tomb number 2 ready to go. And now the opponent is going to be -2. They're going to be switch locked. In comes Superior. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We move to the next game. Oh my goodness, what a terrible lead. Leading into Gastrodon. The safe switch to Shadow Annihilate is going to be answered by Dusclops. So far, this is about the worst possible team that you could ever see. Gastrodon lead, Dusclops to answer the Annihilate. My goodness, this game is off to an extremely rough start. Annihilate does decide to actually shield up the Shadow Punch and will look to try and get shields down, hoping that with shields down, Superior will be able to do something in the endgame. The Dusclops will have to throw energy, and they are going to do just that. Annihilate going to actually double shield, so really trying to pressure the shields down, but the Dusclops is too spammy. So the decision to double shield ends up backfiring in a huge way, as the Annihilate could have left the matchup on even shields and now leaves it down shields. So this is going to be a really tough game to win. In comes Superior. Opponent in the back has Dunsparce. They are core broken here by the Superior, but you have to wonder if the decision to shield the Annihilate, not being familiar with how fast Dusclops gets to charge moves, will come back to haunt, as Superior should be on even shields here. The Frenzy Plant is going to land, making it to Frenzy Plant number 2, and this will be the final Protect Shield used by the opponent. They are going to be shielding up that Frenzy Plant. Superior continues to get lower and lower with each Rock Slide connecting. Another Rock Slide is going to land. Superior continues to farm. There's the switch into Magcargo. Magcargo able to snipe down with a Rock Tomb, but unfortunately this is just going to set up the Gastrodon to fully farm down and take the win, and that's exactly what the opponent is going to be able to do. The spam of Dusclops is real, and our battler here unfortunately underestimated Dusclops' speed, and it actually cost the win. We move to the next match, Magcargo into Corviknight. This will be an interesting matchup. Sand attacks, double super effective. Opponent safe switches into Credilli, and that's going to be answered with the Shadow Annihilate. Shadow Annihilate, I mean, so far the opponent has 0 Pokemon that beat Shadow Annihilate, so you may as well shield it. And Annihilate does the right thing, which is firing off the Rage Fist right before the opponent makes their next move. The Rage Fist is going to be shielded, and this is a pretty safe shield for the Annihilate back. Even if it is going to be the Rock Tomb, no, it's actually a Grass Knot, but this Corviknight is about to get absolutely destroyed by Annihilate. This Annihilate is already boosted. It has so much energy in reserve. Opponent ends up shielding, and look at Annihilate go. Annihilate just absolutely destroying this Corviknight. Corviknight is going to be hit with another Rage Fist, and just like that, Annihilate has basically KO'd 2 Pokemon by itself. Now you can send in Magcargo. In the back is going to be another Dunsparce. I'm quite surprised to see this many Dunsparce, but Superior is very happy to be here, as this is a shield parity situation. It's going to be the zeros. So there's no worry about Dunsparce ever being able to flip this. Dunsparce is going to go for the Rock Slide. They realize that does absolutely nothing, and they will resign the match. Tough opponent in the next match. Abanov is a regional champion, but Magcargo is staring down a nice lead here in the Weezing. Opponent is going to switch out into Feraligatr, and Feraligatr is going to be answered now with the Superior. This is tricky. Superior is going to call the bait, and it's the Ice Beam. That is devastating damage. That is a really unfortunate start to the game, hoping the opponent was baiting, but they were not. And now the opponent has the ability to flip switch. They do get a full farm down, and that's going to make life very difficult. You basically just have to bring in the Annihilate and sacrifice the Annihilate, and more or less just hope that 2-shield Magcargo can win this game. Hydro Cannon is going to land, Annihilate barely hanging on. The opponent makes one final Hydro Cannon, and this is exactly right. You just have to fully sack the Annihilate and hope Magcargo can sweep. The opponent sends back in Weezing, and there's not a Weezing moveset that's going to do well here, so this means the opponent is core broken by the Magcargo. Opponent is now debuffed by the Rock Tomb. Magcargo can tank whatever they throw. They throw a Sludge. Oh my goodness. This poor Weezing. Weezing is going to fire off a last second charge attack. Magcargo is going to shield, and it actually ends up being an overheat. The opponent still does have an ability to reset a debuff though. They have Bombardier in the back, but they still have the very low health Feraligatr. So you have to be mindful, watching for any potential catch. Farming up here, over farming, and we do see actually a charge attack priority tie. This means the opponent is unable to save their Bombardier. They have now debuffed this Rock Tomb, but Bombardier is too glassy. It's not surviving. It does get KO'd. In comes Feraligatr, and the Rock Tomb is reached, and this team is somehow still picking up wins. I am a bit shocked that this team is doing as well as it is, but Magcargo is putting in some serious work. Hopping into the final match, and what a dream lead. Magcargo into Talonflame. Opponent safe switches into Runerigus, and this final opponent is bringing out the spice. Runerigus is going to be firing off a Rock Tomb, debuffing Superior. But Frenzy Plant is still an incredibly good attack. So even debuff, this Frenzy Plant is going to do so much damage, and down goes Runerigus. Opponent will get very nice farm with the Talonflame. Talonflame is going to get a 3 Incinerate head start, but nothing Talonflame throws can do anything to Magcargo because it is a complete wall. So now you just get to send back in the Magcargo, and Magcargo will just get to absorb this energy. In the back is going to be a Shadow Lapras. Shadow Lapras quickly answered with the Shadow Annihilate. Shadow Annihilate gonna look to shield once, try and farm down here, as the Lapras will try and make it to another Sparkling Aria. Oh no, farm down! A 1 HP survive from the opponent. Annihilate just gonna let itself get KO'd. That is tragic, but this does mean Magcargo will get to apply a Rock Tomb debuff instantly. Magcargo is gonna be shielding Talonflame. Oh, they're able to boost up their attack with a Flame Charge. The Flame Charge will immediately be undone by the Rock Tomb, and this is going to be a really interesting endgame. The opponent's going to try and keep boosting up, but Magcargo's going to say absolutely not. Talonflame going for another Flame Charge, and that just does such little damage. We're now going to see another Rock Tomb, add another shield from the Talonflame. Talonflame just not gaining any ground in this matchup. The final charge attack priority tie. What is the opponent going to be throwing here? It's going to be the Fly, and that's just not nearly enough. Magcargo, Rock Tomb, double super effective. Down goes the Talonflame, and that's a good game. All in all, as far as anti-meta Pokemon go, I really feel like Magcargo surprisingly does have a lot going for it right now. Incinerate is obviously an incredibly cracked fast move, Overheat is an incredible nuke move, and now with Rock Tomb being a pretty great move as well that can debuff attacks and make it so even though Magcargo has a pretty poor typing, it can actually survive super effective and double super effective attacks. I think Magcargo does have an interesting niche right now in the current Open Great League meta. It's definitely on the anti-meta side of things, like you're trying to beat a lot of the common Pokemon. Like, for example, the double flying Jumpluff that has been terrorizing the meta. We saw Talonflame in the previous game, even Tinkaton. Obviously, Bulldoze will hit for double super effective damage, but it's such a poor move that Magcargo can actually survive that. So, a big congratulations to Nav. They mentioned in the notes that they climbed from veteran to legend with this team, and it's their first time hitting the leaderboard. So big congratulations to them. Thinking outside the box, I realistically never would have expected a Magcargo team to be a team that catapulted someone as far in ELO as this trainer was able to climb with it. But hey, it seems like it's really working out. So big props to them, thinking outside the box and a creative idea that really ended up working. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.